Let's begin on our backs today. So coming all the way down onto your back. Just start the practice with a few minutes of constructive rest. So you can bring your feet to the width of the mat. Let your knees knock in towards one another. Maybe put one hand on your belly, just around your navel, and the other one on your heart and chest. Tuck the chin so the spine is nice and long through your neck. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Feel your body move with your breath underneath your hands. Just a few moments in quiet and stillness helps us to connect with our inner energy, with the flow of our energy. Our own rhythms. And when we connect with them, we can work with them. Now, as we're here, I'd like you just to bring your attention to your tailbone. And draw your attention up your spine. And as you do, notice the natural curvature of your spine. The lift in the low back as it lifts up off the mat. And it turns to the mat between the shoulder blades. Another lift in just under the neck. And so that the back of your head can rest on the mat. As you're here, bring your fingertips to your hip bones. Walk your feet in so that they are next to the sits bones, hip width apart. Knees are also hip width apart. And imagine your low back, the back of your pelvis is an oval platter, and just begin to roll around the very edge of that platter. So when you come around the top of the platter, you're really pressing the low back down into the mat and removing that curve in the spine. Just moving with this a couple more times. And then go in the other direction. Notice how it takes some of your core strength to move the pelvis around. And come back to neutral. Find a neutral spine. And then lengthen the spine down and just press the low back into the mat, removing that curve, engaging through the core, and then bringing your knees up over your hips, shins parallel to the floor. Hands can reach out, palms facing down, and using the strength of your core, with an exhale, draw your knees over to the left. Don't come all the way down though, just bring your knees, that outer left thigh to hover, and then inhale up to center. Exhale to the right. Try and keep your shoulder blades down on the mat here, so we're not lifting to the left shoulder blade. Outer right thigh to hover, and then inhale to center. Do this a couple more times. Now there's going to be a tendency, moving with your breath, there's going to be a tendency for your knees to creep in over your belly button. Try and keep them pushed in over your hips. Might even feel like you're drawing them forward. Let's go one more time in each direction. And then coming up to center, extend your heels up towards the ceiling. And let's begin to move the soles of the feet in circles. So once again, you're rolling around the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, rolling around the outer edge of the platter. Now, if this feels like too much for you, the weight of your legs is too much, you can bend your knees, keeping them parallel with, keeping the shins parallel with the ceiling. Or you can bring your feet back down to the mat and just return to making those circles. Let's go in the other direction. Maybe one more time. And then bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Big breath in. As you exhale, hold on to the backs of your thighs. Tuck your chin and rock the length of your spine as you come all the way up to sit. And then make your way to a tabletop pose. Aligning the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Inhale to lift the tailbone, drop the belly. Roll the shoulders back, bring the crown of the head high. Exhale to turn it around. Lower the tailbone, lift the navel, broaden the shoulders, drop the crown of the head. Inhale to lift the crown of the head, the tailbone, dropping the belly close to the floor. Exhale to lift the navel, find space between the floor and the navel, rounding the spine. Inhale to neutral, curl your toes under. And I want to lift back, lift the hips up and back, but keep your knees bent and your heels up off the mat so that you're sort of in a modified down dog with your bodies resting on the tops of your thighs. Drop the crown of your head. Lengthening, keeping the stretch out of the back of your legs so that you can lengthen through the spine. Find the entire length of the spine here. From here, you can begin to lift the hips. Open up the backs of the knees. Drop the heels towards the mat. Lengthening now from the heels to the hips to the shoulders to the wrists. Full cycle of breath here. And as you inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees once again. And your shoulders over your wrists. And as you exhale, step your feet forward to the front of the mat. Find a halfway lift. Rolling the shoulders back, looking for length in the spine. Consider the length of your spine once again. As you exhale, forward fold, fingertips next to the toes. Inhale to soften your knees and rise all the way up to stand. Hands up, look up. As you exhale, hands to heart center. Bring your big toes together, heels slightly apart. Roll the shoulders back and down and lengthen the spine. Drop the fingertips to the floor. Just take a breath here in Tadasana. Once again, noticing the length of your spine, the natural curvature of your spine. Looking for anywhere where there's over curving or over compression. Lift up out of that. And inhale the fingertips up. As you exhale, turn the palms out. Swan dive down with soft knees. Inhale to find a halfway lift. As you exhale now, soften the knees and bring your hips back down nice and low. Now you're lying your torso over your thighs. Reach the crown of your head forward. Reach the fingertips forward, extending straight out from your shoulders. Imagine here, someone's got you by the hips, they're pulling back, but someone's got you by the wrists and they're pulling forward. You're lengthening through the spine, through the body, hips to shoulders, shoulders to wrists. Now as you inhale, lift your torso up off the thighs. Now we're coming to chair pose. Roll the shoulders down and away from the ears, turn the tailbone down, and sink the hips. Nice easy breath here. One more full breath in. One more full breath out. Inhale to stand. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. As you exhale, soften the knees, plant the hands, and bring your feet back to a high plank pose. Here in your high plank pose, reach your collarbones forward, heels back, lifting through the kidneys, the low back, looping the pubic bone up towards your chest, compressing slightly across the front of the body, looking for that long line again. Hips, heels to hips, hips to shoulders, then reaching the crown of your head forward. Inhale, shoulders forward, and exhale to lower all the way to the mat. Unhook your toes. Elbows are squeezing into the body and reaching back towards the back of the mat. Turn your tailbone down here. Loop the pubic bone up towards your navel and lift the heart. Exhale to release. So we're holding plank pose even through the hips and lower body, even as we're lifting the chest in cobra. Keep that strength in the lower body. That's going to protect your low back from injury. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. Curl the toes under. Tailbones turned down, legs are engaged, elbows pulled in tight, low ribs pulled in tight. You can press up to table or plank and exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the right heel. Notice here, as soon as you lift the right heel, what happens to your shoulders? Your shoulders start to fall out of alignment. So bring them back into alignment. Extend out through your right heel. Big breath in. As you exhale, knee to nose. Inhale to reach the right heel high. Notice the outer left leg and hip working to stay in alignment. Exhale, knee to nose. And draw that right foot forward between your hands. Ground the left heel into the mat. Press into both feet evenly and lift your torso up off that right thigh just enough to hover your fingertips over the mat. Sweep the fingertips forward, biceps next to the ears. Pull the outer right hip in towards the center and inhale up. Warrior One pose. Look once again for any compression or over-rounding or overarching in your spine and lift up out of that. Drop your shoulder blades down away from the ears and take your arms out of your peripheral vision, drawing your thumbs back into the space behind you. Press into the outer edge of the left foot. One more big breath in. As you exhale, slowly bring your hands down to frame the front foot. Come up on the toes of the left foot and step the right foot back to meet the left. Find your long spine, your strong core in high plank pose. Know that by turning the tailbone down, lifting up through the low back, we're engaging the core, and that protects the low back from strain and injury. Building strength in the core will protect the low back from fatigue, from injury. The low back is an area that has a lot of flexibility, allowing us to move around and do things, but it leaves it vulnerable to injury. This is why we strengthen the core. Inhale, shoulders forward, and exhale to lower all the way down to the mat. Tops of the feet press into the mat, and we can lift the heart, cobra pose. Exhale to release. Inhale, table or plank. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the left heel. Exhale, knee to nose, squeeze it in. Inhale to reach that left heel high. As you exhale, left foot comes forward between the hands. Bring the right heel down onto the mat. And notice that left hip wants to slide out to the left. Use the strength of your outer leg, your outer hip to draw it back into alignment. Find length in the spine here. Bring the collarbones, the shoulders forward, the crown of the head forward, gazing straight down at the mat. And then lift your chest just up off your left thigh, just enough to hover the hands a couple of inches up off the mat. Reach the fingertips forward. Roll the shoulders down away from the ears. Biceps are next to the ears and hands are reaching up. Finding strength in the body. Inhale to bring the fingertips up overhead. Finding that nice long line of your spine. Looping the hip bones up towards the collarbones. Weight is evenly placed between both your feet. Nice big breath here, nice strong stance. One more full cycle of breath. Breathing in for length. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down. Frame the front foot. Come up on the toes of the right foot. Press into the hands. Lift up through the shoulder blades to bring your left foot back to meet the right. High plank pose. You can be on your toes or on your knees here as you bring the shoulders forward. And then bend the elbows back, coming halfway down. Squeeze the elbows in towards the ribs. Inhale. Cobra or up dog. Rolling the shoulders back, bringing the chest forward. As you exhale, curl over the toes. Pull the core, the low ribs, the belly in to lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Bringing your gaze forward between your thumbs. Inhaling the shoulders forward, coming up high on your toes. As you exhale, you can step or hop to the front of the mat, coming to a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to soften your knees and rise all the way up to stand. Hands up, look up. As you exhale, hands to heart center. From here, I want to do a bit of balancing. I want to take our hands to our hips. Find that strong core. So you're gazing straight out ahead of you. Find something to look at. Fingertips are on the hips. You can have your thumbs wrapped around the back of your pelvis. Lift up the rib cage. Roll the shoulders back and down. Bring your weight into your left foot. Come up on the toes of the right foot. Notice right away your hips want to come out of alignment. Just like they did when we were on our backs. Moving your legs around, your torso wants to align itself, realign itself to manage that. We're going to bring the hips back into alignment using the strength of the core. And bring the right knee up so the thigh is parallel to the ceiling. As you're ready, just extend that right heel straight out ahead of you. Shoulders stay over the hips here. I know that you want to lean back with your upper body to cantilever
weight of your right leg, but use the strength of your core to stay high. Bend into that right knee. Drop the right knee down next to the left. Pull the heel in towards your sits bone. And now let's hinge forward from the hips. You might want to change your gaze to somewhere on the floor. Hinging forward from the hips, coming to warrior three. Keep your right hip level with your left hip. Use your hands. Notice where your hands are. Gazing straight down at the mat, extending straight back through the right heel. Soften into the standing leg. Come back up to stand. Right knee's high. Extend through the right heel. And then drop the right heel down next to the left. Walk from side to side. Just bring your weight from one foot to the next. Sway whatever way you like, and then we'll do the other side. So bringing your feet together, finding your alignment, knowing how important that alignment is. Hip bones to shoulders, shoulder blades to sits bones. Pulling the low ribs in, keeping your hands at your hips, finding somewhere to gaze. Come up on the toes of the left foot. Pull your hips back into alignment if they've moved. And bring the left knee high. Keep those hips in alignment. Stay here just like this, or if you want the challenge, extend the left heel. Keep the shoulders over the hips, lifting up out of the pelvis. Lifting the rib cage over the hips. Soften into the left knee. Draw that left knee down next to the right and begin to hinge forward from the hips, making sure your hips don't move by keeping your hands on them, being very aware. Extending back through the left leg, gazing straight down at the mat, warrior three. Inhale, come back up. As you exhale, step the left foot down next to meet the right. Whew. Inhale, the fingertips up. As you exhale, hands come forward, palms facing down. Roll the shoulders down away from the ears and lift the heels so you're on your toes. As you exhale, let's very slowly bring your hips down over your heels. Move as slowly as you can here. Being really aware of the way that your hips are sinking over your heels and continuing to lift up through the upper body. Lift the ribs away from the hips, the shoulders up. Be very light in the upper body. Hands to heart center once we get here. You can stay here, balancing like this, or we can take crow pose. Let your knees come wide. Hands come to the mat. Knees up on your triceps. Bring your palms to the mat. Shoulder width apart. Stay here just like this. You can lift your hips and just begin to rock from your toes to your hands. Bring your gaze slightly forward. You can keep rocking. Maybe bringing one foot up and then the other. Practicing with that. Just bring a sense of curiosity to this pose. Maybe both heels come up. You can squeeze them in towards your sits bones. Let's lengthen out the shoulders over the hips. Bring the knees together. Hands to heart center. Reach your hands forward again. Roll the shoulders back. Palms face down. And very slowly make your way back up to stand. Woo! Hands up. As you exhale, sweep the hands down. Lower the heels. Let's take a standing twist here before we come back down onto the mat. Hands up. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand back. Inhale, fingertips up. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand back. Inhale, fingertips up. As you exhale, turn your palms outward and forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. As you exhale, let's lift the heels again, and this time in a more gentle with ourselves fashion. Come down to a squat. This time we're like a little ball. Knees stay in, your chest stays over your thighs, and you can give yourself a hug. Tuck your chin into your throat, and this is called like a ball of yarn. You're holding on to opposite elbows, and the shoulder blades are really gliding away from the spine here. From here, just use your hands to support yourself as you come back onto your hips, back to your seat. Scoot your hips into the center of the mat. And from here, I want to come all the way down onto the spine. So tuck your chin into your throat, reach the hands forward, and roll all the way down onto your back. Tuck the shoulder blades in underneath you and draw your heels in towards your hips. Hips, knees, and ankles are all on the same plane. Lengthen the tailbone towards the heels, pressing the low back into the mat. And let's inhale to lift up through the hips, coming to bridge pose. You can tuck your shoulder blades in underneath you and take your hands to an interlace. Lift the hips a little higher. Chin's tucked. You want to keep maybe your eyes are shut, but your gaze behind your eyes is straight up so that you're not turning your head from one side to another. Length, looking for length, shoulders to hips, hips to knees. Couple of breaths here. And release the hands down to the mat. Slowly lower your spine all the way down. Let the soles of your feet come together. The knees are wide, so your legs are coming into a butterfly pose. Again, one hand on your tummy, the other on your chest. Take a couple of breaths here. Letting your knees fall open. Letting your body settle back down onto the mat. Returning as you settle, feeling your breath settle underneath your hands. And let your hands come next to your hips, palms facing up. Extend your heels down to the far corners of the mat. Savasana. Take a few breaths here. When you're ready to begin moving again, just begin with your fingers and toes. Turn your wrists and your ankles, your hands from side to side. Bring movement back into your body in any way that feels good for you.
pay attention to the way your body responds to this movement. Move into sensation as you bring your knees into your chest and sway from side to side. And from here you have a choice to roll to the fetal position and then slowly make your way up to sit. Or if you like, you can do like we did earlier. Hold on to the backs of your thighs, tuck your chin, and rock the length of your spine. Do it a couple of times, making your way up eventually to sit. Finding the length of your spine, looping the shoulders back and down. One more time, focusing on the length of your spine, bringing your attention right down to the tailbone, and then drawing your attention, your focus slowly up your spine, looking for any areas that may still be holding tension or compressing or overwhelming. Lift up out of those areas. Drawing the focus back down your spine, from the nape of your neck through the shoulder blades, down through your spine, behind your navel, back down past your pelvis, right down to the tailbone. When you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, take in the colors around you. Inhale the fingertips up overhead. As you exhale, join your palms, thumbs to the third eye, and hinge forward. And this is our final pose for this day. Namaste. Thank you for joining me, as always. There we go. How you guys feeling?
Nice. What's that?
Thanks for being here. As always, there was a beautiful sunrise happening while we were practicing, so I think it's not red, it's just like pretty golds, and so I can see it right out my window while we're practicing, so it's gonna be a nice day. Yeah. Can you? Yeah, no, it's just the end of it. It's still kind of gold in the sky right now. So you guys all have, but it's going to be a great day. I hope you have a good one. See ya.
Hi. Thanks, Carole. See you.
Thanks
Bye,
for
everybody.
being here. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today for this practice. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for this practice. Today we're going to pay special attention. I hope this hasn't been happening the whole time. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for this special practice where we are going to pay special attention to the length of our spine. This isn't working, okay. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for this special practice where we are going to pay particular attention to the length of our spine. Our spine is the major energy pathway of our body. So taking good care of it in the morning really helps us connect into the energy that we're going to need to focus on for the day. So before we get started, as always, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, and then we can get started. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel great and you have a ton of energy. I'm looking forward to seeing you again on the mat soon. Have a great day.